Once upon a time, there was a girl who loved seeds. This girl often felt befuddled about how many of the things worked on her planet. But seeds she felt a deep connection to. Seeds were magic. This girl learned early in her life that being outside and digging in the dirt was the most important thing for her happiness. Often confused about the interactions with other people, there were never any issues or anxieties when she was engaged in activities that included nurturing plants or observing the wildlife that populated the soil and foliage and flowers of her biome. These simple things gave her a deep sense of connection and well-being, and no worries at all about all of the things that normally were racing around in her thoughts when she was trying to fit in with what most people considered the norm. As a very young girl, she was always drawn to flowers. Fascinated by the diversity of colors and shapes, how was it possible that there could be so much variety? In her teens, she was visiting a neighbor, and voila, there was a Schreiner's Iris catalog sitting on the coffee table. That was the true beginning of the obsession with plants. An order was submitted, and she was on her way to learning about gardening in the best possible way. Trial and error. You learn as much or more from your mistakes as your successes, and here was an opportunity to realize the truth of these words. Early 20s saw her haunting the famous McLaughlin Gardens, where her enthusiasm was dampened. Here was a smorgasbord of plants, plants for sun and plants for shade, giant, heavily textured hostas that looked like they belonged in a jungle, tall, elegant peonies in shapes she had never seen peonies possess, singles and doubles, some that looked like they were anemones from out of the depths of the ocean. This is the garden where she discovered primulas, gold-laced, so dainty and delicate they didn't look real. How could nature produce such a blossom, each petal outlined in a golden stroke? Oh yes, seeds are magic, but... These plants all had tags in Latin. How would she ever be able to truly master gardening when she had no idea what all of these words meant? Very discouraged, overwhelmed with this new obstacle, she fretted and worried and didn't know if she would ever be a true gardener. Then, the universe worked in her favor, as it was often wont to do. She met a kindred spirit named Donna P., who invited her over very early in the spring to see the gardens. This was the beginning of a flower friendship that has lasted all her life. Meandering through Donna's garden was like reading the best book you have ever read in three-dimensional form. She absorbed like a sponge, learning Latin names, what types of plants like what types of conditions, and what zones mean in terms of planting. Pouring through seed catalogs and plant catalogs, becoming familiar with all the new terms, she was suffused with a deep sense of accomplishment and pride in herself. Being a gardener was an option after all. Donna not only shared her knowledge freely, she shared her garden bounty as well. Often, when the girl was working in the yard, she would get a visit from her flower friend. Trunks full of plant divisions, iris and hosta, epimediums and columbine, daylilies. Learning commenced, years spent moving things around to find where they were happy, amending the soil, watering and weeding. Life is change, and change there was. A career, a husband, a child. The kindred spirits drifted apart as the roller coaster got faster and faster. And then things changed, as change they always do. The child grew up. The career no longer fulfilled. Anxiety and worry crept back, bit by bit. The girl was no longer a girl, really. She was middle-aged. She was more than halfway through this amazing journey, and she decided that happiness was more important than stuff. So, she and her husband built a greenhouse, and she went back to what has always fed her soul, starting seeds, digging in the dirt, painting with plants, foliage and flower, annual and perennial. She took a class from Flore and learned about succession planting, growing ranunculus, how rewarding it is to have the opportunity to share her flowers with other people who also need color and beauty and positive interactions in their lives. She learned that flowers were memories to so many people. When gifted with a bouquet of something that used to grow in their mother's or grandmother's gardens, some humans got a faraway look in their eyes and shared stories of their youth and times spent outside with people that they loved. Memories of the best kind that teleport you back to the events that fill us up, which is all we are all really needing every single day. She went way outside her comfort zone and trusted herself and started a business called Squash Pie Blossom. She offered her first flower bouquet CSA, did farmers market, and peddled her flowers wherever there was interest. Learned how to do arrangements, how to grow and strip and dry everlastings. She learned more and more about perennials and annuals, butterflies and birds, beneficial insects that really do make all the difference if you just give them a chance, aphids and ladybugs, Japanese beetles and hoverflies, mantis and beneficial wasps. She learned that lots of bugs that look scary are really the exact bugs you want in your garden, eating aphids and pollinating. To look things up on the internet with her phone instead of just assuming the bugs were working against her. To really slow down and observe what was going on. Life skills, the best skills for her happiness. A huge passion for butterflies was rekindled. In 5th grade, recess time was spent looking for monarch caterpillar larvae that were hatched out in the classroom in a giant fish tank, then tagged and released for their journey to Mexico. What a wonderful thing for a teacher to teach a child in so many different ways. About metamorphosis and migration, being compassionate and caring about our planet and the creatures that are here, just like us, sharing our world. Hours were spent researching what the best host plants were to increase the butterfly population in her garden. Mona Miller was contacted on Facebook, and the plight of the monarchs became a priority. Asclepias incarnata, swampweed, was started from seed and spread about, as well as being gifted to all fellow gardeners who were willing to give this plant a place in their yards. Fennel was germinated and rue propagated, and both were planted in the garden and in containers to entice more types of pollinators into stopping for a visit. Swallowtails and American ladies, red admirals and mourning cloaks, fritillaries, all became residents of this diverse ecosystem. You want to talk about happiness, mental well-being? It flew right in and stayed for the season. Swaths of echinacea were planted and then seeded in. Woodies were added. Hundreds of annuals were started every season to feed all the creatures and create all the bouquets and arrangements. The house filled up with flowers and foliage on drying rods, materials for winter creations. More and more, her entire world was consumed with this deep-seated need to grow, to do challenging physical labor, transforming more and more space into more and more diversity for more and more creatures to move in and create delight. She learned about soil blocking, way out of the comfort zone. Learned she loved it. Researched Elliot Coleman and Barbara Damrosch. Watched their videos on soil blocking and what to use for a mix. This was trial and error in its most challenging aspect. and the win was huge for confidence. Most importantly, though, she reconnected with her kindred spirit. We have both lived our lives here, right close to each other, raising our children, having our trials and tribulations, wins and losses, but both still digging for our happiness. Isn't it miraculous that we can find it right in our yards? The universe working for us. Huh. And the seeds? When I watch an amazing gray poppy open that I started from seed, my thought process goes like this. Gets me every time. A seed made this. A seed. And dirt. Water. Miraculous. A piece of paper mache, the color of hand-dyed silk, hiding in a Venus flytrap. Mind blown. I mean, really, if that isn't magic, what is?